there's no Garo this week. Garo did not run this week, so it's just Toqger 19 and Gaim 36 for the vlogs. I will note that I just got through the first Garo series chapter of the Black Wolf, so I'm a bit more acquainted with the mythology than I have been. So hopefully I'll make less wrong comments about that. So look forward to that when I next get to it. Also, I might not be releasing a vlog next week. I'm going on vacation for the weekend and might not have internet access to get the files and whatnot, and I'd rather just do them here than on another location. Toqger. This is the first episode I liked in a while. Oh, it has some stupid moments, but they're character contrast moments, so it can be put down to characterization and conflict between characters than actually nonsensically stupid moments. Akira gets the build Resha, which is his personal mech that matches the build Resha he uses to transform, and he can't drive it. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It might be due to his nature as a former Shadow, or the difficulty of the mech, but he has to jury-rig a setup for him to properly drive it. Which, if you think about it, if the reason he can't drive it is because he doesn't have the right type of imagination, then if he doesn't have imagination, how could he create a bypass system for him to drive the mech? Yeah, imagination is creativity, inspiration, picturing things in one's head. That's imagination. What this series regularly does, especially with Wright, is delusion, ignoring reality for a fantasy. That is delusion. And I've gotten riffed on repeatedly for this whenever I critique Toqger, so I just want to bring that up again, because it seems to be a relevant misconception concerning the series. So, since he's jury-rigging the mech so he can actually pilot it properly, the conductor thinks he stole the train. Yeah. Going out of he didn't have any proof of that. He just said that he ran off with it, which doesn't make any sense, because when he gets it, he just sits there with it where he tries to learn how to drive it. So the Toqger go looking for him, and it's a Tokati-focused episode where he tries to connect with Akira individually, as he's likely not used to groups. And that is not bad thinking. I mean, he's shied away from them as a group already, so it's using past actions and a memory of his where he was not the most sociable person to kind of more relate to him on an individual level. That is all good. This is... Also note that this was while Wright was not around. I really do think that the team would be better if Wright had not joined them at all. Because, whenever he takes focus, the episode turns stupid. Anyways, they get a call about a Kuro liner attack. Actually, it's on the same rail as them, so they have to move to fight it. And they are led into a trap. The Shadow of the Week, I actually can't remember his name, he puts up barriers, so they have to switch rail lines, which leads them into a attack that not only takes the trains off the rail line, but clamps down on them. Now, initially, as I was watching this fight, it's when they were putting up the blockades on the rail lines, I was thinking, the rainbow trains can fly. But this shows why that would not have worked. It would still have worked and avoided the trap, but if there's already a rail line, they default to that automatically, as opposed to being able to fly. And it was a good trap, is what I'm getting at. It evolved dynamically, as opposed to the bomb running into the station real dead end when, as I said, they can fly. So yeah, they not only take them off the line, they trap them in a cage so they can't get up. And on top of that, when Akira and Toqger come to help out, and Akira summons the Drill Resha in the giant form to help out, since it's a Shadow Line train originally, they can more easily assume control over it. So that actually helps out the bad guys in that they start burying the trains. So, Toqger gets injured because instead of, defeating the Shadow Kaijin, he defaults to going to help the rest of the team that are in the trains, and he gets injured. Akira evacs them, and Toqger's all like for going straight back, and Akira has to hold him back, help him mend the injury, which is to his leg, which means he can't even move very well, and convince him after reassuring him that they are going to help him to bring the Build Russia online and help him pilot it to unbury the rest of the team so they can help out, and yeah, it goes from there. The Build Russia is the first of the Russias I don't have an issue with, because it's just one Russia sitting on top of another, and they unfold into the lower one being the legs, and the other one being the torso and the arms. It actually looks very good. It's the first mech in this show that does not suck. Yeah, just think of that for a second. I mean, the proportions are a bit off, but it's bulky, it changes well. It actually matches the toy in the suit model. The show suit. And yeah, I'm thinking just things evolved organically from plot points, and that is what makes it good. It's not, they didn't ignore reality, they kind of ignored the whole imagination plot points. Oh, and they also showed that Toku Rokugo can't line switch with the rest of them. He's supposed to be independent, which makes sense with the General 6th Ranger gimmick. Trying to think of what else to say that's relevant. Episode pretty much wraps with everyone crowding Akira again, Wright saying something stupid, which makes Toqger think that he failed at all his efforts, when really he was the most successful out of all of them. Yeah. Wright really does bring everybody else down. Gaim. Whoever loses, Zangetsu wins. And it was not the one we were hoping for. Pretty much it's about exploring the psyche of Micchy through the viewpoints of everyone else who has not seen his descent into madness. They think it's their fault. Takatora and Kota especially, because in Kota's case, he thinks it's more painful to maintain lying to everyone. As someone who's had to lie for someone else's benefit, it's really not. I don't try to lie, but sometimes it's just easier to deal with someone if you don't buy into their preconceptions. I'm trying to give a good example. My dad is married to a woman we as in me, her son, my mom, despise because she's pretty much a bitch. And a lot of times, to even deal with her, we had to do, little white lies because her friends are, monsters, and their kids are monsters, so they'd, be the brattiest kids in the universe. I remember one time, this other kid insisted on using my body as a chair. Yeah. And I had to get up, and I asked him repeatedly, get off me. And then I just finally pushed him off. Because I needed to get up, I needed to do other things, and after I did that, he ran to his mother, and then just told a big fat lie that I punched him, I kicked him, I did all this other stuff to him, and she came running, screaming back, threatening to call the cops. So, to deal with it without it being another issue, because he also hated these other people, he is in my dad, they told him he was punishing me by removing privileges that I didn't even care about. Now, this obviously obviously that's not the best of examples, as, you know, bad situation with bad situation, and placation should not be the best route to deal with someone. However, when you can't do anything about it, sometimes you need to lie, just get to the next day. I'm getting back to a point, and pretty much no one was hurt by that, because they continued with their worldview that we couldn't remove from them without us doing, well, officially going to court, because she was literally dialing 911 at that point, even though that's really not something you dial 911 for. I was 17 at that point, so I don't know what she was thinking. Point is, not every lie is bad, not every lie hurts people, not every thing does it, but he's lied to hurt people, and enjoyed hurting people. And the only thing he's gotten angry out, felt pain about, is when he lies to people to get them to do what he says, they don't do what he says. Yeah, I'm thinking that before this arc is over, they'll see more of Micchy's, how much Micchy has held back for them, because it's been established pretty much that Takatora is trusting, and that's kind of his character flaw, in that he trusts people when he really should not be. I mean, we saw that with Ryoma, we saw that with Sid. Yoko he actually made up with, because she was betrayed as well, and, you know, she thought that Ryoma had the guile to actually take over the world and do something with. I'm thinking that Yoko might have had the same thoughts with Takatora at one point when she was brought on board for that or something, and was convinced by Ryoma that he's actually not, which would make sense to me, considering their arcs. And anyways, Kota's being unreasonable about this. Something that's continuing the subtext of the show is, when they're retreating from battle, Kaito gets cut by Redyu, and he's taking care of the cuts at the garage, Gaim's garage, and he's wiping away stuff, and it glows green and just seals itself. Now, we've been seeing that the Faminchu used magic, sorcery, alchemy to turn themselves into the overlords of the forest. Pretty much manipulating the fruits to do that. And we've seen that the lock seeds give nutrients to the wearers when they're injected into the belts. So if the overlords and the Invest get other abilities, like we've seen them eating the Helheim fruits to heal themselves, and Kaito's damaged area was going green. Yeah, use of the belts is turning them into overlords. Damn you, Orobuchi and Fridge Logic! I mean, it was bad enough with the hypoglycemic shock thing with Hase, but I thought, we thought it was just a one-off thing with how Kota's not been feeding himself, and yet, you know, had nothing to eat, and has been affected by the Kiwami lock seed, but, you know, kind of overloading him, and yet, oh my. That is kind of confirmed later, because Redyu engages Kota in battle, and after he mocks Kota concerning Micchy and how he is like Micchy, and all that, it kind of comes to a head where Redyu realizes that Kota's kind of resisting his powers to manipulate the Helheim, which he was before, and he kind of mocks Kota then about not realizing what he's done to himself, which, considering it's Sagara that did it, in a way, offered him the lock seed for the test, I'm not surprised, because Sagara is the Kyubey analog for the show. I mean, people say it's Redyu, but it's not, because, during this current arc, with all the, absorbing people, taking people, killing them, absorbing their power, for this other thing that's pretty much the, acting like the devil, it's not, which they related it to Kyubey. It's not. Kyubey is the manipulative contract dealer, and while Redyu is manipulative, he's to his own ends. No, that's not right. Not. He's being direct with it in his actions. He's going things about in a roundabout way, but Roshua recognizes that Redyu wants something from him, doesn't have the power to do it, will go behind his back to get it, but he doesn't care. Kyubey continues to be able to manipulate. I'm doing this badly. Point is, Redyu, not Kyubey, Sagara, Kyubey. So, yeah, after all the stuff about, well, it is still some more stuff about Micchy, but pretty much, Takatora reflecting on how he's failed Micchy, on how he's taught him the wrong things, and I really don't think he did. I mean, he was, I'm looking back on it, and, I think the biggest screw-up was making Micchy do all the things he did without checking that it was what he actually wanted. Like, you want the best for your kids, your siblings, your brothers, so you force them to do things they don't want to do, not realizing that if you do it too much, they end up hating it. And I'm thinking, Micchy grew to favor everything that didn't have to do with his double life, I think. Except, not really. I'm trying to think of the right words to say, and I'm not very succeeding. Pretty much he's trying to figure out where he went wrong, and I think it really is the point where he got power over things, because he didn't like people telling him what to do after so long of Takatora telling him what to do. Yeah, I think that might be it. Anyways, he recovers his old Sengoku driver and lock seat and calls Micchy out, kind of trying to settle the score, save it from itself, and the reason I think that fails is Micchy, it's the selfish versus selfless kind of thing between the two. Takatora was doing bad things because he was trying to save people, well, even those he didn't know, and continuing work to see if he can try to save more. Micchy has given up on as anybody he wants that doesn't matter to him, he will get rid of. I think that's the context that works there. So many levels! This series is actually going to be hell when I actually get back around to it, because so many levels to note, so many subplots, so many, I'm not the most colloquial of speakers, so phrasing things correctly is a constant frustration for me. So, they get to the battle. Takatora. Now, remember that Energy Lock Seeds and the Energy Riders are easily twice as powerful as any of the other armored riders, aside from Kota's upgraded forms. And Takatora is stronger with just using the Melon arms than the Melon Energy arms that Micchy is using. Now, we already knew that the Melon gear was arguably the most powerful due to how it wrecked pretty much everybody else, so there's not as much a coupled with Takatora's superior skill and Micchy not being a fighter, it's, the fight is really, really close. Unfortunately, Takatora loses because he hesitated at the last moment in striking Micchy down, and I keep thinking, aim for the goddamn Lock Seed! That pretty much ends it for Michi's use of the Shin Zangetsu armor. He still has the Ryugen gear, and that would loop it around to the opening, which I realized that it isn't going to. So, because he hesitates, Micchy can trigger the Genesis Driver's squash function, and not only slashes Takatora, he destroys the belt, and the force of the impact knocks him into the water, where he forcibly loses his form and falls unconscious and drifts into the... Yeah... There are good odds Takatora is dead for real this time. Considering Michi's final descent into madness was upon believing that Takatora was dead, well, not exactly descent into madness, but the next stage in his fall was, when he took the Genesis Driver and the Lock Seed to more actively try and get his way. Yeah. Sadly, next week is a tie-in to the movie, which is the third movie tie-in that Gaim has done. I know this is a short season, but 3, granted, the Spring Break special isn't counted in the normal episode count, but events relevant to the series happen in it. The tie-in for the Gekaider movie was not even 6... Yeah, that was episode 2. It was not even 6 weeks ago. Was it 30, 31, or 32? I'm pretty sure it's 30. No, 32 was the... Yeah, it was episode 30. It was 6 weeks ago. And now we're tying into this movie. Admittedly, it's part of the events of the show, that the movies usually are canonical, but it's a diversion of the action it's a diversion again where this falls right smack dab into a story arc. It keeps happening. Why does that keep happening? So yeah, good week overall, and as I said, I might have to skip another week depending on how fast the fan subs get out and the time I have to do this. So if not, I'll double up again. Hopefully that won't be necessary, but you never know. I just wanted to give a fair warning. I'm considering putting some old scripted episodes up on YouTube, because distribution and YouTube is apparently paying better than Blip. But there's always that copyright issue. I've been kicked off of YouTube repeatedly due to copyright issues, from people claiming things they shouldn't be, and content ID, and not respecting the whole fair use laws. And I'm hesitant to do that. My Dailymotion account's not doing that well right now either. But it's something to consider. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll see y'all next time.